Hi, everybody. So in my week 11 overview video, I neglected to post this PDF that is now posted. So this does not show up in the week 11 overview video. So I did want to go over the recast project assignment a little bit better. So you've written the classic argument, right? You've done your researched argument. And this is where you have described an important issue. You've stated your position. You've supported the position with evidence. You've presented arguments against the position taken. And of course, at the end, you have urged your readers to change their thinking or take some course of action. So, you know, the end there is to persuade an intended audience. So for this research recast assignment, you're going to be taking your researched argument essay and recast it into a different genre for a different audience, ideally for a public audience. So you're going to create what's called a multimodal remix of that original argument, reimagining its content and purpose for a specific audience. So the remix, you're transforming that original source into a new medium or genre of your choice. You will clearly define your target audience and tailor that remix to their interests, their needs, and their knowledge level. And of course, at the end, you will be having an opportunity to write a written reflection that explains your remix process, the choices you made, how the work addresses the original source's content, so on and so forth. So other things to think about is your purpose. You really want to be clear on the purpose of your remix. What new insights or perspectives do you hope to convey? Creativity is also another key factor. I want you to experiment with a different form, different style, different kind of technologies to create something that's dynamic and engaging. Of course, you're also going to be expected to use correct use of citations, right? So obviously, an academic essay, that includes in-text citations and parenthetical reference. However, if you're transforming that to digital media, like a magazine, a zine, a blog, or an article, that might mean having functioning hyperlinks within the text, as well as including a list of references or works cited at the bottom of the page. In audiovisual work, it's going to look a little bit different. If you're doing something that's primarily audio, it would be a mention of the original author, such as according to so-and-so, right? If you're doing a PowerPoint, it would be on your slides. Usually you will include a citation at the bottom of the slide. There's a link here that shows you how that looks and how to do it. Of course, you will have a works cited or a works consulted list of 6 sources, even if you're doing creative work. So again, if you are doing some research on how to do X, Y, or Z, like how to use this format, how to use this genre, I want you to include that as a work that was consulted. More or less, the sources are going to be the same as the ones that you used in your academic essay. However, that might change a little bit. You might do a little bit additional research because you want to include something that's new that you didn't think was appropriate for your argument essay, which would be perfectly fine for this more relaxed approach. So we have a schedule for the unit. You have a series of related assignments. This week is the short writing, which is your final recast plans and rationale. Next week, you have a project draft and writer's reflection that's due. Then we're going to take a whole week for peer review instead of trying to have that rapid turnaround. That week 13, we are getting close to Thanksgiving then, right? So I want to get the peer reviews done before Thanksgiving, and then you guys can have a little time over the Thanksgiving break as well as the final week of classes to work on your recast project final submission. That will be due on Saturday, December 7th. So we have a little over a month to get this last project finished. On the opposite side of this page, this handout that I have here, we have the project requirements. So if you decide to do a shorter written work, it's going to be about half the length of what your research argument was. So we're aiming for about 4 to 5 pages or an additional 1,000 to 1,500 words. So if you're doing a magazine or creative writing, blog, it could be a series of blog posts, or it could be one long blog post, or if you decided to write an article. The exception there would be if you take your research argument and you create a body of poetry. Include about 4 to 5 poems. I'd like to see several different poems. I'm not expecting you to write a 4 or 5 page poem. I mean, you can if you want to. I think that's really difficult to write long form poetry. So it could include 4 to 5 poems. Each of those would be on a separate page. That's how we do it when we're submitting poetry. Also keep in mind that poetry is not double spaced. So keep in mind those formatting nuances for creative work like poetry. For audiovisual work, so that would be like a slide presentation, whether it's PowerPoint, Google Slides, what else is out there? Prezi, there's some other things out there as well. Any kind of slide presentation, a video or a film, a vlog, a podcast, or interviews. We're aiming for about 10 to 12 minutes in length, or if you're doing a slide presentation, around 10 to 15 slides. Remember that your presentation should be appealing to your audience, so you're going to be using relevant images on slides, using royalty-free music. If you want to pay to get the rights to use the music, you're more than welcome to, but that is not a requirement. That's why I suggest using royalty-free music. I want you to make that presentation as professional as possible. And again, my friends, this is not the easy way out. The draft, you will need to provide some kind of an outline, a script, or a storyboard. If you are doing a slide presentation, a script is really the first step. And then you would develop your slides. So think about the things that you want to say in your spoken presentation, because a PowerPoint presentation on its own is nothing, right? A PowerPoint presentation or a slide presentation, that's a visual tool for the spoken words. So you would need to create a script or a storyboard or have some other kind of organizing principle to show how that presentation will come together. If you choose to do any kind of interviews, you need to make sure to have the person's permission to be recorded and disclose that the project will be shared with me as well as one of your peers. You need to have their permission in order to do that, because if they're disclosing personal information that they don't want any other people to hear about, then we get into some issues with IRB. So make sure that you have their permission and that they're okay with it, that they're aware the information is used for a class and that your instructor and a peer reviewer will be privy to that information. If you choose to do a video, YouTube is the easiest platform to host your videos. Of course, set it to unlisted or private if you do not want the general public to have access to your video. The link then would need to be shared on Canvas so your peer reviewer and I can have access to that video. If you want to do some other kind of visual alternative, so artwork, brochures, posters, that kind of thing, keep in mind those are not only going to capture the essence of your research, but also do the following. They're going to grab the attention of the audience. You will need to consider the features of your visual elements, so things like type, size, font, layout, color, images, graphics, so on and so forth. You can read the whole list here. There are acceptable image files. PNG and JPG are the easiest to work with. Brochures and posters, of course, can be saved as PDFs and uploaded into Canvas. And for me, I think that the free version of Canva is really good. So if you aren't familiar with Canva, it is very user-friendly. Of course, if you have another type of design software that you're really familiar with, something in the Adobe suite or something that Microsoft offers, you're more than welcome to use it, of course. But if this is kind of new to you and you don't want to use Microsoft Word to try to create a brochure, Canva is so user-friendly, and the free version also allows you access to some images and other multimodal and multimedia files. I pay for Canva just because I think it's worth it to have access to those additional things that membership allows you to have access to. So you're allowed to use the things. It usually has like a little crown that would say you have to pay for this in order to use it in your designs. There are other audio alternatives. So if you like, if you're a music major and you want to write a piece of music that conveys your argument, go for it. I think that's fantastic. You could design a concept album, or you could design a playlist. Of course, there are things, these again are not the easy way out. Songs that convey the message of your topic, ideas for a concept album, you would have to include liner notes. And if you're creating a playlist, you have to choose songs, list them, be intentional about how they're arranged, include brief descriptions for each, explain why it's included and what it represents to your topic. So you could kind of think of it as a radio show. And on Sirius XM, there is a show that I listen to every weekend. It's called Lust for Lists by Lori Majewski, and she intentionally chooses songs based on a theme, but in between songs, she kind of intersperses these little stories to explain why that song is a part of the list. So that's kind of the idea I'm going for here with that playlist idea. Lastly, if you're an education major or you're thinking about becoming a teacher somewhere along the line, perhaps a teaching unit would be very useful, right? A lot goes into creating a lesson. So I am saying here to aim for about one 15 to 20-minute lesson or a micro lecture on your chosen topic. So some of the things that you need to consider: how would you teach this information in a class? What is the age level that you would be teaching, right? Are they children? Are they adults? How would you organize the information? How do you manage your time, right? What visuals or handouts would you need to include to enhance the lesson? Are those things that you would create yourself, or would you locate those resources elsewhere on the internet? Would you do some kind of an active learning activity to help enhance the lesson, that kind of thing? So you could just type up a lesson plan. There's a link here that has a lesson plan template, or you could actually teach a portion of the lesson on video if you wanted to. It's really up to you. And again, if you have any questions about it, you can just ask me and I'll provide any clarification that I can. So that is the Research Recast project in a very large nutshell. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Okay, have fun with this, everybody, and take care. Bye-bye.